Does Bungie care about the console players in Destiny 2 has become a viral topic. It's currently trending on both Reddit and Twitter, so we figured we would chime in with some data, some facts here, because I actually initially thought to myself, of course they care about the console players. What is it? This is not even a question. Console makes up significantly more of the population of people that play Destiny 2 and spend their money in Eververse, which is what Papa Pete likes the most, way more than PC players. There's way more console players in this game than PC players. So of course, Bungie must be catering to them. But when you look at the data, it actually shows quite the opposite. And I think you're about to be shocked at what I'm going to show you. It all started with this Reddit post here, which is, what is your opinion that would leave you in this situation? This individual replied saying, impossible content achievable only on PC isn't good game design. Okay, now this sparked quite the controversy here. They got 1,200 likes from Winta here, which they screenshot it and quote tweeted it saying, literally, what content is only achievable on PC, bro? Which obviously got people riled up because a lot of people feel as though the Desert Perpetual contest was almost impossible to pull off if you're on a console. And obviously, doing the new contest raid is, it's not for everyone, but if you want to try it out and you're a console player, feeling like you're kind of barred from being able to do so is not fun, right? Especially you're paying money for this expansion. You want to get to experience everything about the expansion. So of course you want to clear the contest raid. But with the loadout swapping, it proved to be very, very difficult for console teams. Just exactly how difficult though? Well, here it is, the Desert Perpetual Contest World's First Race. We have PC team, PC team, PC, 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 PC. These are all the top 10 teams that cleared, all on PC. Now, outside the top 10, we have the top 20, all on PC. And scrolling way down here on 37th, we have our first console team clearing. So, to say that it's impossible to clear contest on console would be false, because clearly this team was able to do so. Shout out to them. World's first console team. Honestly, they should receive a belt of their own, right? They should receive the exact same raid belt, but with little thumbsticks on it, maybe. I don't know. That's just an idea I'm throwing out there. Let me know what you think. Now, after they clear it, 37th, you scroll down and you see an Xbox team here. Shout out to them. World's first Xbox team. They should also get a belt. Maybe like a little miniature belt. It's like green. Just theories. Just throwing some ideas out there. Now, they are the only two teams in the top 50 that cleared. So 2 teams out of 50 cleared top 50. Now we're going on to page 2 now, and you can see that as we scroll down, we had one PlayStation team. We scroll down a little bit further, and another PlayStation team clearing on the second page. So in the top 100 teams that cleared Contest Desert Perpetual, 4 of them were console teams. Pretty bad ratio, but we'll continue on because obviously there's 200 teams in total that cleared. On the third page, we just have 1 console team. And on the fourth and final page, because there's only 200 teams that cleared it legitimately after all the cheaters got removed, you have an Xbox team here, an Xbox team here, and a third Xbox team here. And that's it. 8 teams out of 200 that cleared were on console. An extremely small percentage. In fact, when you compare the two, you think clearly there must just be way more PC players, but when you actually look at the data, it's literally the opposite by a long shot. Like, there are way more console players. I don't know what the exact ratio is because they don't make those charts available to us. Now, does that mean that the Desert Perpetual Contest Mode World's First was tuned for PC players and therefore Bungie doesn't really care about the console players? That's for you to decide in this commentary piece that we're doing here. I want to give you some other evidence in regards to old raids that happened. The Crown of Sorrow World's First was a 24-hour raid race that first sparked this controversy, this topic, which is, are these contests, are these raids inaccessible to console players? This raid had a decent amount of people clearing it, and only one console team cleared it, and that's Rick Kakis' team, actually. He was the only console team that could clear in contest throughout the first 24 hours. No other console team could clear it. Now, part of that had to do with the raid boss being Galran, and he had a really tiny crit. A lot of people were using Outbreak. Outbreak obviously has more recoil, but aim assist on console. But aim assist doesn't help you because it doesn't like increase the bullet magnetism in PvE. So it's very problematic for the console players out here. They were unable to clear this, other than one. Now we move on to Garden of Salvation. This is where things get really nasty. Garden, in its first 24 hours and in its complete contest mode clear, did not have one singular console team. And now this boss had a crazy crit too. He like jumps up into the air. He's really far away. If you had high recoil on your weapon, you're probably not shooting this boss. Let's be honest. As we scroll through here, you can see these are all of the top teams that cleared in contest. Not one singular console team was able to clear. Here's my clear, actually. This is one of my favorite clears of all time, getting this done, Garden of Salvation. And honestly, I hadn't even thought about it, right? At the time, I was like, oh yeah, like console players, maybe console players are just a little more casual, right? Maybe it's the culture that's the problem. And I say problem lightly because let's be real, you know, if you really, really wanted to, I guess technically you could clear contests, but is the sandbox and the bosses, are they being tuned more for PC players to be able to clear this? Or do PC players just have a significant advantage due to movement and mobility and lack of recoil? I know that inside the PvP sandbox, we have obviously aim assist is what we're using as like a leveling value, right? So when you're on a PC, you can basically move around a lot faster. You have less recoil. But when you're on a console, or if you plug in a controller, you have higher aim assist. So you have less mobility, less movement, but when you do aim at someone, it locks onto them better. Unfortunately, those aim assist values don't transfer over into PvE the same, so you can't really balance those in the exact same way that you would. And the same thing would apply if you were to just plug a controller into a PC. You'd be at kind of a deficit. So I don't even know if it's necessarily a console versus a PC thing, like in terms of a platform war that we're creating here, as much as it is just an input device war, right? The controller itself is just a less precise instrument than the mouse and keyboard. It's pretty obvious in terms of, you know, if you were to do an aim test, right? There's different aim trainer games, and you can do things significantly more precise with a mouse and a cursor. It's just a more precise device than a thumbstick is. It's just better at that. It's more precise. And that's really helpful when you have bosses that have a tiny crit that you're trying to shoot. In fact, the final boss in the raid has a crazy crit where he's like spinning around, his eyes are going side to side and up and down and left and right everywhere you go, right? I could imagine being a console player trying to aim at that and adjust and follow would be significantly harder with a thumbstick, right? So that gives an advantage to PC players. Can Bungie even fix something like this? I don't know. The one idea that I do pose is that in Fortnite, you can actually plug a mouse and keyboard into your console and control it exactly as you would on a PC. Removing the aim assist and changing the recoil, it recognizes the device. There's basically input support for the mouse and keyboard. And that does not exist in Destiny 2. So instead, you plug your mouse and keyboard into your console. It doesn't do anything other than let you type in the text chat. That's about it. And that's fine and great and all, but it's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the ability to use the input device that kind of helps streamline things a little bit. What is the end result here? What is the end resolve? I can't help but feel like, due to the recent data of these contest raids, that console players are definitely having a significantly harder time clearing these contest raids than PC players. And while I will say that it's in part the input device, the controller is not as precise, it's in part the culture maybe. Maybe console players are a little more, you know, you're kind of a hobbyist more than anything, more than a hardcore player. You know, these PC players, these guys will spend thousands and thousands of dollars on their PC and their whole setup and make Destiny 2 their whole entire life, right? And console players, you know, you tend to be a hobbyist, maybe a little more casual. But overall, from looking at the data, I do think that there's a problem here. I think that if I was Bungie looking at this, I would be like, yeah, we're kind of shafting the console players a little bit. And maybe we need to figure out a way to make contest raids more accessible to the console players. I don't know what it would be. I don't know how they would do it. This seems like an extremely difficult problem to fix. Obviously, what they did to fix this problem in PvP was they just kept throwing more aim assist at the weapons. They just said, you know what? Console players can't make it to the lighthouse. More aim assist. This is a real thing that happened, by the way. I know because I played in the early days of D2 when they first introduced PC and into the whole environment, into the ecosystem. And they just kept adding more aim assist until eventually it kind of leveled the playing fields. In fact, at one point in time, it felt like console players had an advantage, or a controller has an advantage over mouse and keyboard. Some might still argue that, but it's close, you know, it's comparable, roughly, right? You can't do the same thing in PvE. It's problematic. The more aim assist you add in PvE, you just start trying to aim at a boss and all of a sudden it pulls your aim off because an acolyte walks in front of you. It's very difficult. It's a very complex problem to solve, but I think it's one that actually is worthy of getting Bungie's attention, because I think that I've watched all these recent videos of people saying, I'm quitting Destiny 2 forever, I'm not interested. And I think it kind of stems from things like this, where they feel like the game's not really made for them. And I know that this could be a really frustrating element to invest so many thousands of hours, hundreds of hours, potentially hundreds or thousands of dollars into this game and feel like it's pushing towards a direction where it doesn't really want you to be a part of it anymore, you know? It feels like the console players, they can't be a part of the contest world's first raid race, if I'm being honest. They can try. I mean, there's no harm in trying, right? But let's be honest, your likelihood of success as a console team is really low. I mean, you are 8 teams out of 200 cleared on console. 8 teams. That speaks volumes for how challenging it is for the console players to clear this raid. What are your theories? What are your ideas on how Bungie could fix this? Do you think they would even address an issue like this? Do you even think it's a real problem? Because let's be honest, the last raid was really challenging and it did make for a good spectacle. I kind of have mixed opinions about it, if I'm being honest, because I liked the challenge. It took me 46 hours to clear this. I almost didn't clear it in time. And if they did it again, like a year from now for the next raid, I would honestly be kind of stoked for that because I liked it being that challenging. I liked how much effort you had to put in to clear it, right? It was fun. It was really challenging. But that's speaking from my own personal experience. Looking at it from an outsider or looking at it from the point of what is best for the community, I can't help but feel like there is maybe a problem here. So my personal experience, there's no problem. I loved this raid. This was great. Let's do it again next year, Bungie. But speaking as from the larger perspective, from the whole community, there's definitely a problem here. You know, if I'm being honest about it, there's a problem here. And the console players are getting shafted. I don't know what they're going to have to do, especially when it comes to loadout swapping as the new meta. Now, it's not that console players can't loadout swap. They can do the same thing you can do. They just can't do it as fast. And speed is important, especially when you're inside your menu in an activity where you can basically get one shot. Now, a few of these teams clearly figured it out. Like, let's not pretend like no console teams cleared. Some of them figured it out, but you're at a disadvantage. You're in your menu, and these menus open up slower, load slower. I mean, if you're on a PS4, let's be honest, it's probably impossible to clear contest if you're on a PS4. If you cleared on a PS4, you should get like 2 raid belts. Honestly, you should get a whole fucking raid wardrobe. They should send you a special prize that's never been created before, because if you cleared on a PS4, you are truly a legend. But no PS4 players are clearing because of that, because of the loadout swapping. PS5 players have significantly faster load times, right? And they're able to get into their menus a little bit faster. Not nearly as fast as PC though, but a little bit faster, and get into their loadouts and swap around. And so they can min-max their power and, you know, have one loadout for ad clear and one loadout for DPS. But it's definitely not as fast as PC. It's definitely not as fast. I mean, I've seen some clips floating around, but there's no way that a console is going to be able to load up those menus as fast as a PC. If I see evidence to say otherwise, I'll change my opinion. But I have a PS5 literally over here, and I have a PC that costs $4,000. It'd be a lot faster on that PC. They're at a disadvantage. And when every little tiny thing matters so much, being at a disadvantage sucks. And a lot of people will say, you know, get good, a skill issue, and console gamers, you're losers or something, right? Or go buy a PC, you know, stop being broke or something, right? Someone wrote in the chat, real men play on console for the challenge. Truly, if you play on console and you clear, there should honestly be a separate world's first at this point, considering how difficult it is. Like this team right here, Team Nuts, credit to you guys. You get the world's first raid belt. You cleared it first. But the team that clears first on console, they should get a whole separate prize. And honestly, considering how much more difficult it is, it should be even more sick than a raid belt. What's better than a raid belt? Let me think about this. Get a raid helmet, dude. Yes. A full-on helmet. Golden controllers, yes. In fact, if you clear world's first, you get a golden controller that has engraved in it the exact raid, and it has a Cronus Zim attached, welded into the back of it. I'm kidding. Let's stop right there. At the very least, give them a prize, because this shit ain't easy. Dude, not even 10 console teams cleared in contest. You think it was hard to clear on PC? 200 teams cleared it. Not even 10 could clear on console. Not even 10. Now, if you took all these players, right? This is an interesting thought experiment. If you took all of these players, right? Snazzy Rock, right? Salt de Grepo, and you made them play on a PS5 and said, go clear right now, right? How many of them clear? How many of them can pull it off on console? Some of them are some of the best of the best. They'll pull it off. Let's be real. Salt de Grepo is going to pull it off. All right, Snazzy Rock, this guy is the GOAT. He's pulling it off. But do I pull it off? It took me 46 hours to clear it. I do not pull it off. I do not pull this off on console, if I'm being honest. There ain't no chance. All right? Do the teams that cleared with a couple hours left pull it off? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know exactly. There's no way to quantify the exact value of being on a PC to a console to an exact number of your efficiency and power output. But clearly, if we're just looking at the data alone, if we're just looking at what teams can clear this and how many of them and the population comparison by contrast, it is alarming the amount of people that can clear on PC compared to the amount of people that can clear on console. That's all I'm saying. It's alarming. It's alarming, the data. And I think when more people look at it and actually think about it, it's kind of crazy to them too. They're like, wait, hey, this feels off, right? I mean, I could understand if there's sweatier people on PC. So maybe let's say the ratio, if it was population wise, should probably be like, if there was 100 teams that cleared, should be like 25 on PC and 75 on console. If we're talking about just population wise, at least somewhere in that range, right? But let's say there's sweatier people on PC and they're more hardcore. So at least a 50 to 50 ratio, maybe, you know, maybe even in a crazy world, there's such an advantage to be on PC. Maybe it's 60 people clear on PC, 60%, let's say, and 40% on console. Maybe in that, maybe the scale, it's outweighed by quite a bit due to, you know, the hardcore nature of PC players. But when it's scaled this much, 200 clears to 8, that is wild. Console players they're playing the game on hard mode, basically. You're basically inflicting more difficulty on yourself. You're adding a modifier in the portal called console, and you're just making it more difficult for you to play. And you deserve an award. You deserve a gold award, a golden controller, a gold medal, and a gold car from Pete's collection. I'm sorry, that's too. Lesson learned after watching this video, don't LFG for contest. True. If you're trying to LFG for contest, you're going to suffer. It wasn't too long ago that raids were only done on console because PC didn't exist, right? So it should also be said that there's an element of culture here because I'll give you a good example. Slayerage got world's first Leviathan, right? This raid, you obviously couldn't say that there was an advantage to being a PC player because there were no PC players at this time. But now Slayerage and his entire team only play on PC after the game went to PC. The same thing could be said for Gigs here, who's a part of Tier 1. They also transitioned over to PC. Gathalion and all of them all transitioned to PC, okay? Myself transitioned to PC. All of these teams, right? A lot of these top teams, as soon as PC came out, we just transitioned over. A lot of the most hardcore in the top 10, top 20, top 100, we all went over to that, right? Literally, this is Redeem right here, 31st for Leviathan. They all transitioned over. So the culture behind it is an interesting element. It is significant when it comes to it. I want to hear from the console players out there, though. Did you dare challenge contest? And how was it? Did you feel like you actually stood a chance? Because it was pretty brutal. When was the very first raid post PC launch, though? Let's go Leviathan. And then we had Eater on normal. That was it. That was the difference right there. So Leviathan's launch was on console, and shortly afterwards, they launched the game on PC. And so Eater of Worlds, look at the contrast here, right? This is really interesting. So this is Leviathan. Look at the platforms, right? All console, okay? There is no PC yet. There is no PC yet. PC does not even exist for Destiny 2. So obviously you're not going to see PC populated here. But Eater of Worlds, PC just started to exist, and console was the only platform for, at that stage in time, almost 4 years. Now look at the difference. World's first, PC, 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 PC. Console, the first team was 9 for console, 12 for console, 15, 20, 22, 25, 36, 41, 43, 44, 45, okay? So it's already significantly, heavily more weighted for PC players in the very first instance of this happening. And this was not when these world's firsts were hardcore, by the way. This was won by an LFG team, believe it or not. This Eater of Worlds, world's first, this is an LFG team. This is a streamer team that got world's second. They beat everyone. That's how casual it was back then. You can see the difference. As soon as PC was integrated into the ecosystem, PC started to immediately take significantly higher spots in these contest raids. Is that a culture thing? Is that an advantage thing? I'll leave you to decide that in the comments. Let's go to Spire of Stars. The Spire of Stars was a really hard one, actually. So Spire is going to be a very interesting. So Spire, we had world's first go to PC. We scroll down, console, world's 9th, 13th, 14th, 16th, 18th, 19th, 23rd, 28, 29, 33, 35, 38, 40, 42, 43. So this is a little more, and then 47, 48, 49, and 50. This is a little more reminiscent of like a very consistent, healthy balance between the two, if you think about it, right? There's a lot of hardcore PC teams in here and a lot of hardcore console teams. Look at this. A little bit more balanced. Things have definitely changed since the first 2 years of Destiny 2. And then we had Scourge of the past. Scourge has a lot of PC and just a little bit of console. Oof, barely any at all there. In the top 100, just a few console players. And then things took a crazy turn after that. After Scourge, that was when Crown happened. And that's when we had literally just one team, Rit Cactus. And ever since then, it's definitely been trending more towards PC. If you enjoyed this video, then click on the screen here to watch another one from this channel. And don't forget that we're doing a monthly emblem giveaway for anyone that is subscribed with notifications on, likes, and comments on the video. We'll be scrolling through all the comments, picking random winners. So best of luck to you out there, and we appreciate you watching.